Chosen one, listen closely. What you are hearing right now is urgent, and it carries weight. This message is not meant for everyone. If you are not walking in alignment with God, if you are here out of mere curiosity or distraction, this is not for you. But if you are a true follower, if your spirit has been tested by trials, shaped by isolation, and proven through obedience, then this message was released for you. Hear this with clarity. You are receiving this message at the precise moment it was meant to reach you. Not too soon, not too late, exactly on time. The person who blocked you did not leave with peace. They did not erase you. They did not move on. They are watching from a distance, quietly, consistently. The space they created did not sever the bond. It revealed it. Today, God is uncovering truth that will change how you understand betrayal, separation, and elevation. By the end of this message, you will know why the block happened, why the silence remains, and why you still occupy their thoughts, even though you are no longer present in their life. As we move forward, chosen ones, stay engaged with this message, remain connected, and make sure you do not miss what God is unfolding here. Share this with other chosen ones who need this confirmation. Stay with me until the end. What God is about to reveal is not random. It will bring peace where there was confusion, clarity where there was doubt, and power where you once felt restrained. This moment was appointed, and you are here for a reason. Chosen one, slow your spirit and let this settle. What happened to you was not random. Being blocked by someone who once had access to your heart, your time, your inner world, is not an accident, and it is never empty of meaning. In the realm of the spirit, blocking is not rejection as the human mind defines it. It is separation. And separation has always been one of God's sharpest instruments. Your mind may still be asking questions your spirit already recognizes. What did I do wrong? Why didn't they speak to me? Why did they disappear instead of explaining? Release that weight now. This was never about your mistake. It was about your mantle. Chosen ones are not blocked because they are weak. They are blocked because what they carry becomes unbearable for those who refuse to grow. Your presence grew heavy. Heavy with truth, heavy with change, heavy with conviction. And for some, standing near you meant standing face to face with their own stagnation. Rather than rise, they retreated. Blocking is not strength. It is avoidance wearing the mask of control. Spiritually, a block is a boundary formed by someone who feels exposed. Your obedience, your quiet discipline, the way your life kept unfolding even without noise, all of it unsettled what was still unhealed in them. And instead of confronting that discomfort, they chose distance. That is why it came suddenly. That is why there was no closure. Closure demands honesty, and honesty demands courage. Understand this deeply. God allows separation not to wound you, but to cover you. There are seasons when access becomes dangerous, when familiarity gives people permission to drain you, doubt you, or quietly remember you as you were instead of honoring who you are becoming. So God intervenes without announcement. Sometimes, He does not remove people by force. He lets them remove themselves. You did not lose anyone. You were released. When God is involved, blocking is not abandonment. It is filtration, divine filtration. Those who cannot go where He is leading you are removed in a way that prevents argument, manipulation, or emotional entanglement. Silence becomes the shield. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it felt abrupt and unfair. Your mind replayed conversations, searching for the moment you missed. But hear this now. When God is elevating you, explanations are not always given. Not because you are undeserving, but because clarity would slow your obedience. Some connections cannot survive your next level. Not because you changed for the worse, but because you changed at all. Blocking exposes spiritual maturity, or the lack of it. A person who blocks instead of communicating reveals they do not yet have the capacity to stand in truth. They are overwhelmed inside, torn between who they are and who they are being confronted to become. And rather than be seen clearly, they choose to disappear. That weight is not yours to carry. Stop interpreting blocking as loss. Loss suggests something valuable was taken from you, but what happened was alignment being restored. God is intentional with your connections. If someone exits without conversation, it means they were no longer safe to explain things to. Some blocked you because access to you no longer benefited them. They could no longer borrow your light without being transformed by it. They could no longer lean on your wisdom while resisting accountability. They could not stay close without being required to grow. And when God sees that imbalance, He closes the door. There is an even deeper layer. Blocking is often the final act of spiritual resistance. When someone realizes they can no longer control you, influence you, or remain ahead of you, the only thing left to manage is access. So they shut it down. But hear this clearly. Closing a door does not erase awareness, it only changes distance. God allowed the block because He knew you would have stayed longer out of loyalty. And misplaced loyalty always turns into self-betrayal. So distance became mercy. You are not being punished, you are being preserved. Remember this. Jesus Himself was misunderstood, abandoned, and rejected by those who once walked closely with Him. Not because He lacked love, but because His calling stretched beyond their comfort. Before David wore the crown, he was hunted. Before Joseph stepped into authority, he was separated from his family. Expansion is always preceded by separation. Blocking is also a test of emotional discipline, a test of trust, a test of whether you will chase answers or choose peace. Each time you choose peace, you pass another threshold. God does not allow blocks that delay destiny. He allows blocks that accelerate it. When someone blocks you, your attention is forced inward. Distractions fall away. Validation loses its grip. Reflection deepens. Independence strengthens. That inner refinement is what prepares you for what comes next. Some people were only assigned to walk with you until a certain revelation was delivered. Once it was received, their role ended. Instead of explaining their departure, they vanished. That does not make them evil. It makes them finished. And this is where real healing begins. When you stop needing answers from people who could not hold your truth. When you stop seeking closure from someone who could not remain open. When you finally understand that silence can be God's loudest protection, something in you settles. You were not blocked because you were unworthy of conversation. You were blocked because conversation would have required accountability, and accountability was too heavy for them. Release the need to analyze their motives. God already saw what you could not see, and He acted with precision. The meaning is simple, yet profound. God removed access to guard your calling, your peace, and your focus. What felt like rejection in the flesh was redirection in the spirit. When you accept that, pain loosens, confusion fades, peace begins to anchor you, because what God removes makes room for what He is preparing to release. And to the part of you that still feels unsettled, hear this clearly. God did not allow the block to confuse you. He allowed it to quiet you. There are moments when too much explanation becomes noise, and noise disrupts discernment. Blocking creates a clean break, no mixed signals, no emotional looping, no reopening wounds God is closing. This is how chosen ones are protected from returning to what is already finished. Some doors cannot remain half-open. Half-open doors drain spiritual strength. They keep your eyes behind you while God is calling you forward. So the block became final, not to harm you, but to free you. And here is a truth many resist. If that person truly belonged in your next season, no block could have endured. What is ordained by God does not disappear in secrecy. It does not end in avoidance. It does not require hiding. Let your heart rest. This was not an ending you failed to prevent. It was a boundary God enforced. And the moment you stop questioning it, you step fully into peace. Because what left quietly was never meant to arrive loudly in your future. If something shifted in you as you listened, don't let it fade into silence. Take a moment to share your thoughts, your feelings, or your story in the comments. Your testimony may become the confirmation someone else has been praying for. As you respond, take a moment to write 999 or 777 inches the comments, and also share your city and where you're listening from. Let this be a quiet declaration of alignment and openness to what God is doing in your life right now. You weren't led here by accident. You arrived in divine timing. Every amen, every reflection, every word you release sends ripples through the unseen. If you haven't already, subscribe and stay connected not just to a channel, but to a growing community of faith. As we're moving toward 5,000 subscribers, Your presence helps this message continue reaching the hearts God is awakening in this very moment. Amen. Chosen one, hear this clearly now, not with emotion, not with drama, but with awakened sight. The reason that so-called friend could not remain connected to you was never about conflict, misunderstanding, or distance. It was about capacity. They did not possess the spiritual, emotional, or inner strength required to walk beside someone God was actively reshaping. Not everyone who begins with you is meant to mature with you. Some are drawn in because your light soothes them. Others linger because your insight steadies them. But when your growth begins to confront what they have avoided, the shift starts. Quietly, invisibly, long before any block appeared, something fractured within them. Comparison replaced celebration. Observation replaced participation. Measuring replaced trust. And you did not announce your becoming. You did not advertise discipline or speak loudly about obedience. Like Joseph in the silence of preparation, growth unfolded without permission or applause. And that kind of quiet transformation unsettles those who have chosen stillness over surrender. They did not withdraw because you became arrogant. They withdrew because you became unreachable to manipulation. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped shrinking to keep others comfortable. You stopped carrying emotional weight that was never yours. And when someone depends more on your availability than your truth, your healing feels like rejection to them. Familiarity once kept them at ease, but clarity took that comfort away. Your presence became a mirror. Your peace highlighted their chaos. Your consistency exposed their excuses. Your obedience pressed against their resistance. And rather than rise to meet what they saw reflected back at them, they stepped away. This was not betrayal, it was avoidance. A so-called friend is someone who embraces the version of you that serves them, yet feels threatened by the version of you that stands fully in purpose. They celebrate your potential from a distance, but grow uneasy when that potential becomes lived reality. They prefer you accessible, but struggle when you become discerning. And you did become discerning. You guarded your energy. You became intentional with your time. You released conversations that led nowhere. You chose peace over performance. You did not need to announce it. Your spirit spoke for you. And that shift unsettles insecurity at its core. They could not remain because connection demands alignment. Alignment demands honesty, and honesty demands growth. They were not willing to grow. They wanted the comfort of what was familiar. And when familiarity stopped serving them, the connection collapsed. Understand this. Envy does not always announce itself as jealousy. Sometimes it appears as silence. Sometimes as withdrawal. Sometimes as someone quietly stepping back so they do not have to witness your progress up close. They did not hate you. They simply could not celebrate you. And that middle space eventually turns into resentment. Not loudly, not aggressively, but through distance, through absence, through indifference. So God intervened. There is also control woven into this. Some remain close because they feel influential. They like being consulted. They like being needed. They like having a voice in your decisions. But when God begins guiding you directly, that influence dissolves. You stopped asking. You started discerning. And when they realized they no longer had access to your direction, the connection lost its leverage. Blocking was not power. It was surrender. They could not keep pace with you spiritually. Your hunger for God exposed their comfort with stagnation. Your openness to correction revealed their resistance to accountability. Your obedience confronted their excuses. And instead of facing that truth, they fled it. Here is the truth that both wounds and frees. Some people are assigned to you for survival seasons, not destiny seasons. They help you endure, but they cannot help you expand. When expansion begins, they feel overwhelmed, unnecessary, or left behind. Yet you did not abandon them. You continued forward, and because they would not walk, they stepped aside. Silence was easier than admitting insecurity. Distance was easier than transformation. This is why there was no conversation, no explanation. Explanation would have required vulnerability, and vulnerability would have exposed what they were fighting within themselves. They could not stay because staying would have required change. Release this from your heart now. It was never your assignment to slow your obedience so others could remain comfortable. You were never called to dim your becoming to preserve someone else's stability. You were not chosen to blend in. You were chosen to stand apart. The moment you embraced that truth, the connection became unsustainable. Stop asking why they couldn't stay. They couldn't stay because God was moving you forward while they stood still. They couldn't stay because your growth shattered the illusion that you were equal in direction when you were no longer equal in calling. They couldn't stay because your light demanded a level of honesty they were not prepared to face. And that is not something you need to condemn. You do not need to defend yourself. You do not need to reopen what God has sealed. They did not fail you. They reached the furthest point they were capable of reaching with you. And when you accept that, something powerful settles in. Guilt dissolves. Doubt loosens its grip. Peace replaces the need for validation. Because those appointed for your next season will not feel threatened by your growth. They will recognize it, they will honor it, and they will rise with you. Until then, remain steady. The connection that truly sustains you has never left. Chosen one, now we step into what your spirit has known all along, even when your mind tried to quiet it. This is the hidden truth, the one many avoid because it forces honesty, the one the heart feels before the mind accepts. The person who blocked you did not disconnect emotionally. They disconnected access, not awareness. And there is a difference that cannot be ignored. If they were truly finished, there would be no watching. If peace had sealed their decision, curiosity would not remain. If separation had brought closure, there would be no backward glance. Yet they are watching, quietly, carefully. From a distance they believe protects them, and this is why. Blocking gave them control over the ending, not healing from it. It removed confrontation, but it did not dissolve the soul-level bond. When connection was real, when familiarity ran deep, absence does not erase impact, it amplifies it. Chosen ones leave impressions that distance cannot undo. When you were removed, a silence formed they did not anticipate. They expected relief. What they encountered instead was reflection. Only after you were gone did the weight of what you carried become clear. They are watching because a question keeps returning, one they never voiced. Did I choose correctly? And every time they see you still standing, still grounded, still moving forward with quiet strength, that question sharpens. Watching does not always mean admiration. Sometimes it is comparison, sometimes regret, sometimes disbelief, sometimes the slow ache of realizing they misjudged you. They thought the block would weaken you. They assumed you would reach out, explain yourself, seek closure, or unravel. When none of that happened, their inner narrative fractured. People who leave from insecurity often expect collapse. It reassures their choice. But when you continued in peace, it disrupted the story they told themselves to justify walking away. So they watch, to see if you struggle, to see if you fall, to see if you replace them, to see if God's hand remains on your life. And every sign that you are still aligned confronts the very reason they left. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Blocking avoided conversation, but it could not escape conviction. Conviction does not need closeness, it only needs truth, and your life speaks it without words. There is another layer you must see. Many block to regain emotional balance. They believe distance will quiet the inner noise. But when peace does not arrive, curiosity becomes their refuge. Watching becomes a way to remain connected without vulnerability. They do not reach out because humility is required. They do not apologize because accountability is heavy. They do not return because growth would be demanded. So they observe. This is not reconciliation, it is surveillance. They seek awareness, not alignment. Information, not intimacy. And this is why God keeps them at a distance. Someone who watches without wishing you well cannot be trusted with access. Watching does not mean they want you back. It means they are wrestling with what they lost, what they feared, or what they refused to face. Some regret the block but do not know how to reverse it without sacrificing pride. Some hoped distance would diminish you, and it did not. Some are unsettled simply because light, once seen, cannot be unseen. Your progress became evidence. Evidence that the block was not your end. Evidence that God's favor did not lift. Evidence that destiny continued uninterrupted. And this realization unsettles those who stepped away too soon. They also sense something shifting ahead of you. Even unhealed hearts can feel when elevation approaches. They may not understand it, but they feel it drawing near. And hear this clearly. Their watching has no authority. It does not delay what God is releasing. It does not alter your path. It does not negotiate your future. God does not require the approval of observers to elevate the chosen. Watching is passive. Obedience is active. You moved. They remain still. Do not confuse attention with power. They see, but they do not steer. They observe, but they do not decide. They are aware, but they do not govern. God allows them to watch for one reason, so they understand this truth. You did not need them to become who you are becoming. Sometimes God allows people to witness what they walked away from, not to shame them, but to reveal discernment they lacked, to show the cost of choosing comfort over growth. And still, God covers you. Whether they return one day or never speak again is no longer your concern. Watching without engagement eventually exhausts itself. Your responsibility is not performance. It is not signaling. It is not wondering who is watching. Your assignment is peace, obedience, and forward focus. They watch because your life became a mirror, and mirrors unsettle those avoiding reflection. Let them watch. You were not chosen to hide your growth to protect another's pride. You were not called to dim your light to make others comfortable. You were chosen to move forward even when eyes linger behind you. And as you continue, something shifts. Watching becomes distance. Distance becomes irrelevance. Irrelevance becomes release. There is yet another layer. Your absence created a void they did not know how to fill. You were not just presence. You were stability. You were grounding. You were clarity. When that was removed, something inside them lost balance. So they watch, trying to understand how you continue without them, because they are still trying to understand how they function without you. They thought time would erase your impact. Time revealed it. Sometimes this watching is not even conscious. It is energetic. They sense your peace before they hear of it. They feel your progress before they see it. That is why your name returns unexpectedly, why reminders surface uninvited. That is not attachment reforming, it is connection dissolving. God does not allow them to watch so you feel validated. He allows it so you remain unbothered. Because once you realize that even distance cannot undo what God placed on your life, you stop shrinking, you stop doubting, you stop questioning whether you mattered. You mattered enough to be remembered. And more than that, you mattered enough for God to remove you before damage could be done. Do not misread their watching as unfinished business. It is unfinished growth on their side. Yours is already unfolding. And as you keep walking, something settles permanently. Awareness fades, curiosity weakens, clarity remains. When someone can only watch you from afar, it is confirmation they no longer qualify for closeness. God, in His wisdom, ensures that line stays clear. Keep moving forward, He will handle the rest. Chosen one, understand this first. Distance is not punishment. Distance is training. Until you see it clearly, your mind will keep misnaming what God is using to fortify you. God does not remove people at random. He removes access with precision. There are levels of mental strength, emotional discipline, and spiritual clarity that cannot be formed in constant closeness, constant feedback, or constant noise. They are forged in distance. Distance is where God reshapes the chosen one's mind. When someone leaves, blocks you, or falls into silence, God is not calling you to chase. He is calling you to sit, to watch your reactions, to notice what surfaces when validation disappears. Silence reveals what still needs refining, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. This is mental refinement. As long as certain people remain close, they influence how you think, decide, and respond emotionally. Even well-meaning connections can create dependence without intention. And God will never allow dependency to compete with destiny. So He creates space. Distance forces independent thinking. It requires you to process emotion without outsourcing clarity. It strengthens self-regulation. And that matters because where God is taking you, emotional impulsiveness would be dangerous. Some callings demand a trained mind even more than loud faith. God uses distance to break habits you didn't know you carried. Over-explaining, seeking reassurance, needing others to confirm what God already spoke. Distance dismantles these patterns. At first, it feels uncomfortable because your nervous system was used to familiarity, response, and offers of connection. But God is not prioritizing comfort here. He is building capacity. Distance sharpens discernment. When noise fades, intuition awakens. When voices fall silent, God's direction becomes clearer. When opinions withdraw, conviction deepens. This is why many chosen ones receive their clearest direction in isolation. Not because they are lonely, but because they are focused. Distance teaches you to be alone without anxiety, quiet without feeling invisible, present without being affirmed. And once you master that, your reactions change. You stop being emotionally pulled by what people do or don't do. Your mind becomes anchored. It also establishes emotional boundaries. You learn where you end and others begin. You stop absorbing moods that are not yours. You release responsibilities that were never assigned to you. You no longer feel guilty for choosing peace. That is strength. A chosen one with emotional discipline cannot be easily manipulated. They cannot be rushed or destabilized by sudden shifts in relationships. Distance trains this stability. God also uses it to detox the mind. Some connections leave residue, thought patterns that no longer belong where you are going, self-doubt, overthinking, misplaced guilt. Distance allows these to dissolve. Healing accelerates when certain people exit, not because they were evil, but because their presence was no longer aligned with your growth. Distance teaches patience. It slows reaction. It removes the urgency to explain or defend. Patience is not passivity. It is controlled strength. God is also preparing your mind for future separation. Where you are going, not everyone will understand, agree, or remain. If your mind is not trained now, later losses would break you. So God prepares you early. Distance teaches you how to grieve without collapsing, release without bitterness, and accept without resentment. These are leadership muscles. God shows you who you are without reflection, who you are when no one is watching, offering feedback, or standing nearby. When you discover that, confidence becomes internal and unshakable. You stop asking why they left and start asking what God is forming in you now. That shift alone elevates everything. Distance strengthens faith in God's sufficiency. You realize peace does not depend on constant communication. Joy does not require companionship to exist. God fills spaces people once occupied. And because of that, you become discerning, not closed, selective, not guarded. You begin to value alignment over familiarity, purpose over proximity, peace over history. God never creates distance without intention. He never removes without provision. Sometimes the provision is clarity, sometimes confidence, sometimes peace, sometimes wisdom, and sometimes it is the return of yourself, whole and grounded. Distance clears interference, it quiets expectation, it silences the fear of disappointing others. In that stillness, you learn to trust God's timing instead of rushing outcomes. That trust stabilizes the mind. So, if you are in a season where conversations are quiet and connections feel limited, do not panic. God is strengthening your mental foundation. He is preparing you to expand without overwhelm. Distance is not empty space. It is sacred space. And when this season passes, and it will, you will notice the difference. You think clearer, react less, trust deeper, move slower, but stronger. That is what distance produces when God is shaping the mind. A strengthened mind is one of God's greatest gifts to the chosen. Chosen one, this is where authority quietly returns to you, not with noise, not with confrontation, but with certainty. There comes a moment, subtle yet decisive, when someone watching from a distance loses all influence over your inner world. That moment has already begun. Their watching no longer carries power because you are no longer performing for perception. There was a season when being understood mattered, when being seen mattered, when you cared how your silence or choices were interpreted. God has been loosening that attachment, layer by layer, until observation stopped shaping your inner state. Power only exists where emotional access remains. They no longer have it. They can notice your growth, but they cannot interrupt it. They can see your peace, but they cannot disturb it. They can witness elevation, but they cannot alter it. When God seals a season, opinions lose reach. There was a time when their silence triggered overthinking, when approval shaped confidence. Distance trained you, silence strengthened you. Your center moved inward. The moment you stopped reacting, their watching lost its grip. Reaction feeds attention, stillness starves it, and stillness was forged in separation. You no longer ask what they think, you ask what God requires. That shift changes everything. Watching only holds power when you are unsure of your path. When conviction replaces confusion, observation becomes irrelevant. You are not seeking confirmation anymore. You are walking aligned. When God elevates someone internally, outside opinions grow quiet. Not because you harden, but because you become clear. You interpret behavior with discernment, not emotion. They may still look, compare, wonder, but from behind, watching is stationary. Movement carries authority. God has already spoken over your life. When His voice outweighs perception, fear dissolves. You are not proving anything now. Your life speaks without effort. God healed the part of you that needed to be understood by those who never truly listened. That healing removed leverage. They can only influence what still wounds you. That wound has closed. When someone watches but cannot reach you, their presence becomes background noise. Focus renders noise powerless. God trained your focus on direction, not departure. You no longer read watching as judgment. You recognize it as reflection of their inner state, not your worth. That separation brings freedom. God quieted your instinct to look back because where you are going demands forward vision. Silence is not weakness. Distance is not loss. Being watched is not threat. Sometimes it is simply memory. Memory without access changes nothing. They remember because you mattered. Access was removed because alignment ended. God did not restore the connection because restoration without transformation would reopen cycles you outgrew. Your stability matters more than curiosity. Discernment now guards you. You see clearly who watches and who supports, who remembers and who repents. You are no longer available for emotional extraction. Watching lost power not because they stopped, but because you did. That is freedom. God removed the emotional hooks that once tied your nervous system to their attention. You no longer assign meaning to observation. Information without authority cannot move you. You discern motive without absorbing emotion. That is maturity. You have been repositioned. Even if they observe, they see fragments, not the process. Incomplete vision holds no power. God did not allow explanations because silence freed you. You owe no clarity to those who chose distance. You are living aligned, not reactive. Alignment silences influence. If they still watch, let them. Obedience carries protection. No observation can penetrate. You are safe within yourself, safe to grow, safe to move forward without looking back. Nothing unseen can disturb your peace again. Now comes the quiet turning point. Not chaos, not noise, the final shift. It begins internally and reshapes everything without force. What comes next is not rushed, it is aligned. After distance has done its work, after the mind is strengthened and emotional ties released, life enters a calmer season that carries more authority. You stop chasing clarity. Clarity meets you. Peace no longer comes and goes, it stays. This is the shift from survival to stability. You move slower, but with precision. Quieter, but with certainty. You no longer explain your direction. Your spirit already knows. God replaces first from the inside. Noise with peace, confusion with understanding, anxiety with assurance. Once the inner world stabilizes, the outer world reorganizes. Fewer distractions, fewer drains, not coldness, but discernment. You no longer entertain what disrupts alignment. Confirmation arrives without demand. Doors open without force. What once required effort now requires trust. You stop questioning the path. Peace confirms obedience better than answers. Urgency fades. You no longer grow to prove anything. Motivation becomes clean and sustainable. New connections appear slowly and intentionally. They respect boundaries. They recognize depth without explanation. They feel aligned, not heavy. Closure arrives without apology. Understanding replaces resentment. You release without bitterness. Wisdom remains, and wisdom attracts stability. You move into elevation without isolation. Selective, not lonely. Focused, not withdrawn. Grounded, not guarded. The past loses emotional weight. Memories soften. Healing creates space. Space for purpose, space for joy, space to rest without guilt. The final shift is peaceful. Peace signals restored alignment. Everything you endured was preparation. Move forward gently and intentionally. Your peace is the evidence. The next season will not ask you to explain your past, only to steward your present. You are ready. When God completes a shift like this, He does not just change circumstances. He changes how life is experienced. From here, you walk lighter, wiser, and stronger. This is what comes next. Chosen one, if you are still listening, understand this now. Your pain was not random. Your collapse was not failure. Your trials were not delays. They were divine evidence. Proof that something powerful was being forged in you long before you understood it yourself. Fire does not touch what has no purpose. Pressure does not form what carries no weight. You were not led here by accident. This moment found you because you were ready to see clearly, ready to release what no longer belongs to you, ready to move forward without dragging the past behind you. You were never rejected. You were redirected. You were never forgotten. You were guarded. You were never blocked from destiny, only shielded from distractions that could not survive where you are being taken. The ones who left, the ones who chose silence, the ones who stepped away when you stopped shrinking, they no longer define you. They no longer shape your peace. They hold no authority over what comes next. That season has been sealed. And in the sealing, your mind was sharpened, your spirit steadied, your discernment awakened. Let them watch if they must. Watching cannot interrupt calling. Observation cannot cancel what was marked. Distance cannot weaken what was ordained. You are moving now with quiet certainty, with grounded strength, with a clarity that does not need approval. Walk without explaining yourself. Walk without looking back. Every step is being ordered with precision you cannot yet fully see. This was never meant to comfort you. It was meant to wake you, to activate what has been dormant, to remind you that what broke you did not end you. It marked you, and what is marked is always moved into position. Something is shifting beneath the surface. The door has not closed. It has just begun to open. God of all wisdom and unseen order, I come before you not to question what was removed, but to surrender to what you are building within me. Thank you for the distance you allowed, for the silence you permitted, and for the separation that protected my spirit when I could not yet see the danger. I release every need for explanation, every desire to be understood by those you have already moved out of alignment with my calling. Strengthen my mind where it was once reactive. Anchor my heart where it once searched for validation. Teach me to walk forward without looking back, trusting that what you remove is never greater than what you are preparing to release. Guard my peace from distraction, my focus from interference, and my spirit from emotional weight that no longer belongs to me. I ask for clarity without noise, confidence without pride, and obedience without delay. Let my growth remain quiet but undeniable, rooted not in comparison, but in alignment with your will. Where silence once felt painful, let it now become sacred. Where distance once confused me, let it now refine me. I trust you with what ended. I trust you with what is forming. And I trust you with what is coming, even before I can see it. Amen. Chosen one, if this message spoke to you, if it lifted you, if it awakened something deep within you, your response matters more than you realize. Take a moment to go to the comments and write 999 or 777, and also share your city and where you're listening from. Let this be a quiet declaration of alignment and agreement with what is unfolding in your life right now. If you haven't yet, subscribe and stay connected not just to a channel, but to a growing community of faith. As we're moving toward 5,000 subscribers, your presence helps ensure this message continues reaching hearts that are ready in this moment. No contribution is insignificant. Even the smallest act of support can carry hope to someone who needs it. Your support helps this message travel far beyond what any of us could do alone. Thank you for choosing to stand in this moment, Your purity is protected. Your spirit is rising. Your destiny is unfolding. And you are not alone. Amen.